Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris. Happy to have you with me on this Monday evening, coming off the weekend. Hope all is well in your world. You know, February is Black History Month. And so all of this month that I have tried to pay tribute to Black History Month. Again, I'm Charles Morris, and this is the Journey 2020, where we come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. And we've been doing this since 2013. For those who are familiar with the show, know that I started off with Dr. Robinson, clinical psychologist here in the Orlando area. And that's where we're from, here in the Central Florida area, better known as Mickey Country. Not so much as Shamu anymore, because they're kind of slowly fading out Shamu, you know, the killer whale over at Universal. Yeah, Universal. Yeah. So would like to say that I've had an opportunity this past week to experience something that I had never experienced before. And I wanted to share that with you. So I'm sitting here and I'm getting, I just got a text message. Let me see if she's here. And no, I don't see her. So let me do this. I'm sorry. I was supposed to have a guest on this evening, and I don't see her. So I'm going to have to try to do something, and I'll try to do this when I take this break. But anyway, I'm Charles Morris, and again, we're here on every Monday from 7 to 8, and we're happy to be here. If you followed the show this month, the first Monday, I actually went into my archives, and I had the privilege and opportunity, and I was so blessed that I got a chance to interview some of the original Tuskegee Airmen, some of the originals. And what I did was that I shared that. I did it a couple of years ago, thanks to Mary Gilliam, who set that up, because she works with the national chapter, and they do a lot of things here in the Central Florida area. So I had a chance to talk to quite a few of them. And so I shared that as part of my show on the first Monday here on the Journey 2020. The second show, I wanted to highlight a young lady who has done some tremendous work here in the area, and I wanted to highlight her because of all the work she had been doing for over 20 years. And that is Angela Adam, who for those who don't know, that's not from this area, for 20 years she put on the Black Men's Health Summit, and that is, she blessed so many people, and I don't even know where to begin to even share that. I'm sorry, I got a call coming in. Let me turn my phone down here. So let me do that. I'm sorry. So Angela had started 20 years ago, and she decided a year before last that after 20 years she was going to take a little time off on the Men's Health Summit. So I wanted to interview her for Black History Month. So she said, "Charles, why don't you talk to Miss Ida?" I said, "Oh, okay. Well, Miss Ida is like a mother figure to both of us." Okay. And I had talked to Miss Ida, and come to find out that her family has a lot of history in Oviedo, Florida. And Oviedo, Florida is a little small town that's on the outskirts of Orlando. And her husband, great-granddad, was one of the first doctors in Oviedo. So the family has a lot of history here in Central Florida in Oviedo. So she shared that with me as part of the show from last week. And so for this, and by the way, all of these shows that I'm talking about, you can go back and you can go into the archives and you can check out these shows. So definitely check out the Tuskegee Airmen. Please hear Miss Ida, her name is Ida Boston. Please hear her story. as she shared her history in Oviedo, Florida, and her family. And to set this up, what I'm trying to do now is that I, through Louis Delgado, hold on, Bridget, through Louis Delgado, who helped me interview this gentleman that they recognize over in Daytona, because this past weekend they had the Daytona 500, which is a really big race. For anybody that's not even in the NASCAR would know that this past weekend over in Daytona it's one of the biggest events, period. So anyway, between Louis Delgado that gave me the hookup to go talk to this young gentleman by the name of Jessie Iwuji, and I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing his name right. But they presented him with a diversity award, and I'm going to play that for you, and then you'll see why I'm recognizing him during Black History Month. And let's check him out.
And now here on the Journey 2020, I have with me, Jess, you're going to have to help me with your last name.
Iwuji.
Iwuji. And you're originally from where?
Originally from Dallas, Texas, but my name comes from Nigeria.
Okay. Now, people out here, we're actually out here at NASCAR in Daytona. And as you know, coming up is a very big race this coming weekend. Now, the Journey 2020, yes, actually, we travel on the road. And yes, we do go to Volusia County. But we're here for a special reason. And I want you to tell us a little bit about your history and about this award and why you're here today.
Yeah, so this weekend I won the NASCAR Diverse Driver Award, and it's an award they give out to drivers who are in the top level developmental series and doing things to promote NASCAR in different diverse spaces. So it's pretty awesome and a great honor to win this award. I began racing about 3 years ago. I'm in the Navy. I went to Naval Academy, played football there, started racing 2015, and been working my way up so I can get to the top level of NASCAR.
See, now you just said a lot. So, and what I mean by that is from the Navy to football. So how do you transition from that to how do you decide? I play football, but now I want to race cars. So how does that play into?
Sports are sports. Whether you're going from football to basketball, baseball to soccer, you name it, it's still the same mindset. You got to grind. You got to be able to work. You got to be able to outwork the person next to you.
No. I'm a jock. Okay, I grew up as a jock. You may not believe it, but I was. I play sports. Yeah. There's a transition going from baseball, football, basketball. But NASCAR, you decide you want to. No. I understand the competitiveness because that's what you're talking about. But there's a little something different to say that I want to go race cars. So that's what I'm trying to say. How did you go? So I want to now go race cars.
Yeah, I've always had a passion for cars, always had a passion for racing, but never could do it when I was younger because we didn't have the money and we didn't come from a racing family. So, that's what I'm trying to get you. Yeah, so in college, I just started growing a little bit closer to motorsports, watching more videos on YouTube and things like that, watching racing on TV. And then from there, I was like, you know what, let me try to make something of this. Like, football was over for me. I was in the Navy now, but now I was like, while in the Navy, I want to still make something of myself in motorsports. And once I went to shore duty, that's when I had more time to do it, and I started pursuing it.
Okay. This is something that costs money. Mm-hmm. Okay, right? Okay, so it costs money. But there's also the stereotype, okay, because this is something that we don't do as people of color. So understanding, again, the competitiveness, being an athlete, what door opened for you to go, you know what, this is something that I think that I'm going to do and that there's a very good chance I might be successful. So kind of take us through that part.
Yeah, there is a stereotype. There's not a lot of black people racing in motorsports, and for me to even have the opportunity to do it has been pretty amazing. But I've looked past it. I never let that be a barrier for me. I told myself, don't look at color, don't look at anything. Just be the best you can be at what you're doing. Keep grinding, because work will outshine everything, and people will stop looking at color. They'll stop looking at all that stuff. They'll be like, this guy just grinds. And that's what I've been able to do. by me doing what I'm doing, hopefully it paves the way and opens doors for other people who are African American, Asian, Mexican, you name it. Hopefully it opens the doors for all minorities, but somebody has to pave the way. There's been others before me that done it. I'm not the first, but I'm trying to reopen some of these doors and re-engage with our community so we can get them into the sport.
Okay, now when did it click to say, you know what, I can do this?
It probably clicked 2015 in my first race when I did a late model race. I did the race and I was running about mid-pack, and I was like, well, I've never raced before. I'm doing better than half the field, so I must have some type of skill. So then that's when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go further with this. Like, this is where I'm going. I'm never turning back. I'm going straight.
But what was that like for you? Because I mean, everybody, I mean, especially us guys, we love to get in the car and go fast. You know, we love to drive fast anything. So what was that like for you, that first experience? What was that like for you? What was going on inside your mind?
I didn't know what was going on. I mean, it was just a whirlwind. In fact, after the race, people were trying to like talk to me, and I was like, leave me alone. I need to take in what just happened. It is crazy. It's not like driving fast on the street. You got 20 other guys that want to rip your head off that are driving just as fast, inches away from you. It's a lot. So you really got to stay focused. You have to just let the anxiety kind of fall off for a little bit and just go. I mean, it is it's different. It is a different experience.
Okay, take us into your plans for the future, how you're dealing with this. Everybody want to be successful. And I asked you, this is my last question for you because I know you're busy. The plan and the success and the path to success, because I know absolutely nothing about racing a car in that sense, but you have a plan and how to carry out that plan to get to wherever you want to go, whatever that is.
Yeah, so the end goal is to get to the Monster Energy Cup Series. I want to get to the top level in NASCAR and win a championship. That's the end goal. For me to get there, there's a lot of boxes I have to check off to do that, and there's a lot of grind that has to make it happen. I got to get the experience by racing in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, ARCA, all of that. I have to find the funding through sponsorships. Finding sponsorships is not easy. Continue to market myself and put myself in a position where people want to see me and want to engage with me and want to engage whatever products or services that are supporting me. That's a huge part. So me working on all that, over the next few years, that's what's going to allow me to get to the level that I want to get to.
Okay, now when you see this guy, you got to know you saw him here on the Journey 2020, and we're also going to focus him on Youth Central Sports. And because of Black History Month, we want to celebrate this all month long. Who's better than to have Jessie here and telling his story? So we're going to look back into the future once we go, and we're going to see this guy. We're going to know, because we're going to ask you, wishing you so much success and God blessings to you. Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
All right, that's Jessie Iwuji. And what a great story. Like I said, I want to thank, tell them, I have to put on my reading glasses, because I want to make sure that I give a shout out to Ronnie Barnett, because Louis Delgado was the one that actually gave me the hookup. But Ronnie, once I got over there, that place is huge. When I say when you go inside, it's huge. It seats 100,000, and Ronnie told me even in the infield they can accommodate another 40,000 people in addition to all this other stuff, because over there I saw acres and acres of RVs and so on and so forth. But I got in, he helped me get in because I was trying to find my way to where they were. And then once I got in, they wouldn't let me out. I felt like I was at Hotel California because I didn't have I didn't have the right media pass. And so the guy said, well, no, we can't let you out. And so I'm like, what you mean? So I got on the phone, called Ronnie. I said, Ronnie, they won't let me get on the train to go to get out. So he got me in. So I had to call him to get me out. So I was teasing him and say, hey, man, I felt like I was in Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. Anyway, again, big props to Jessie, and I got a feeling we're going to see a lot more of him in the future. We're celebrating Black History Month. That's one of the things that we're doing here, and we have someone else that we're going to recognize as well. But as I was, kind of scrambling and kind of trying to catch myself earlier, I finally got my sister that phoned in. And for those who have actually have watched the Journey 2020, we've seen this sister before, more than once, more than twice. And she always has some fascinating stories. So we're going to bring her in. And actually, I'm going to ask you, Miss Bridget, if you can tilt your camera down just a little bit. Okay. All right.
I haven't been starting trouble in Texas, like always. You know, I was starting trouble in Florida, so I brought it to Texas.
Oh, yeah. So let people know. Well, first of all, you got to well, actually, you know what, Bridget, let me do this right here. Okay. Let me do this. All right. For those who don't know, we've been doing some stuff together. Actually, I probably should have recognized her for Black History Month because, she's been doing a lot of stuff here. And now that she left Orlando. I think she went over to Tampa. And actually, I don't know where she is now. Like the last time I talked with her, I think she was in like Houston or something like that, somewhere in Texas. But anyway, we have her on this show for a specific reason. But I do want to recognize someone else for Black History Month. And for those here in the Central Florida area, you know her very well. And once you see this clip, you're going to see why we're recognizing her for Black History Month.
As we continue to celebrate Black History Month throughout the month of February, and I have someone here that definitely, which I learned today, has some history that I think that should be shared with the Journey 2020. I have with us our Commissioner, Victoria Siplin here, and welcome to the Journey 2020.
Well, thank you, Charles. I really appreciate you giving me the platform to just talk about, I guess, what we're about to talk about.
Well, Cheryl shared something with the church this morning. I'd be like, oh, I did not know that. So won't you give us a little quick history of where you're from and why I chose you to be on the Journey 2020 to share a little Black history?
Well, and I think you have a great title, Journey 2020, because my journey has definitely been an extraordinary one. I came to this country at 3 years old as an orphan. I lost my mom to death, and I was abandoned by my father in the Bahamas. And so coming to America at 3 years old as an orphan, it hasn't always been easy, but by God's grace and his mercy, I'm here today. And I can say that in 2014, I became the first Haitian American elected in Central Florida. So it's great.
That's why I asked her to come on the Journey 2020, because I did not know that. I mean, of course, I've been knowing her, but I didn't know about her childhood history and all of that. So the title that you hold now, and can you kind of share what it's like and what it's been like for you once you learned that you had actually won, and what was that like?
Well, I can tell you it wasn't, it was, how can I say this? It was speechless. I was speechless when I found out that I won. And there's no words that can express when you win a victory like that, knowing that all you've overcome and knowing that you really don't even think about, where you are back when you're growing up. You can't even fathom that you would be in a position. I couldn't fathom that I'd ever be in a position of leadership like this, where I'm impacting policy. You're actually changing lives in a tremendous way. Like I said, when I won, I was speechless because I never thought in a million years I would be where I am today.
Okay. I want you to share with our audience what you shared with the church this morning about our history and how important it is that we do our part.
Like I said, when I was growing up and I would have my grandmother who would sit me down, and you're talking about a young teenager in middle school, and she would always sit me down and talk to me about the history that was not in the books. And I told the congregation this morning that, even though they give us 28 days, but history, Black history, is 365 days. And not only the history about how we have changed America as Black people, but your family has history. So you have to teach your children, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren about your family history, because there's legacy in the family history that they can connect more with than the Black history that, we talk about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, some of the greats, but they will never meet those people. But you have history in your family, and those children will meet some of those people that are right there in their family. So that's what I expressed to the congregation this morning.
Okay, well, I want to say, not that I didn't have a lot of respect for you, but I even have more respect for you because, see, for those out there that don't know her, she has such a kind spirit and a kind heart. So you feel that and you get to know that about her. And so, and the reason why I say that, when you hear her history, and that you don't pick up on bitterness, you don't pick up on none of that, in which a lot of us that we know may come from that background carry, So with that, I have a great deal more aspiration and respect for you because you're such a great spirited person, and I like how she gave praise to the husband.
Yeah, every successful person has somebody who endures some of that struggle, some of that pain, and they stick by them. And I must say that I have a tremendous husband who, he supports me, he encourages me, he lifts me up, and it's always great to, whenever I have the opportunity to recognize and thank him in public. It's great when we thank folks in private, but sometimes it's also a wonderful thing when you can acknowledge and praise them and thank them for their support in public. So, and like you were saying, bitterness, we all have struggles in our lives. We all have things that we go through that hurt us deeply, but we have to use those things to inspire us, to strengthen us, to make our skin just a little tougher. And I can say throughout the years, all of those trials, tribulations, all that I've gone through that has caused me pain and hurt has done nothing but, made my skin just a little thicker.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, my last question that I was going to ask you, because you kind of answered it, but my last question, because I know you got to go, and I was going to ask, where did you get that where do you think you got that kind spirit from, and that will to survive?
Well, I can tell you, I think it comes from the Holy Spirit. I can say that, I've always watched my environment, and I was never happy with what was around me. And I wanted something different for myself, and I wanted to create an environment for myself that I was happy. I wanted to walk into a house where I didn't regret going in there. And so sometimes when you're in a situation and you don't like it, it's uncomfortable, unpleasant, well, you got to change that. And so that's what gave me the oomph or the courage or the tenacity to want to change. Because I just didn't like my environment. I didn't like where I was. I didn't like where I grew up. And I just wanted something different for myself and then, of course, for my children. So.
Okay. And with that, I want to say, she got to give a shout out because she got to tell us how many kids. Give a shout out to your kids. How many kids you have?
Oh yeah, I have 2 through marriage and 2 through birth. I have 2 boys, Joshua and Jacob, and they're 14 and 15. They're teenagers, so y'all pray for me. But they're good kids. They're good kids, and I have, like I said, I have 2 adult children, and they're doing well. One is in Texas, one is in Miami, and one is a professor teaching kids with Down syndrome, and I have a daughter that's in Texas, and she's doing great working for an insurance company. So it's a great thing.
All right, the Journey 2020 truly been blessed today. Down home sister. Yeah, the Journey 2020, we're celebrating Black History Month, and we'll be right back after these messages.
All right. I want to thank Commissioner Siplin, District 6 here in Orange County. Also, Jessie Iwuji from NASCAR. and celebrating Black History Month. And again, my first week was the Tuskegee Airmen. Last week was Miss Ida Boston telling us her history in Oviedo, Florida. And next week, we're going to round it off with Pine Hill Seniors with Miss Bell, a great group. She's going to come in. She's going to bless us, enlighten us on some great stories and a lot of people that she worked with. And I was part of an event that they did earlier this month. So we're going to show some highlights from that. So earlier, you know, I brought in real quick Miss Norvell, and I wanted to go ahead and get the Black history out of the way, because I had been talking and I saw in an email that was going around from Miss Norvell, and she is so adamant about what she's involved with. But I want you to introduce yourself, because people who are watching for the first time may not know who you are. I know who you are, and you know, you've been doing so much for so long. So hit us up, sweetheart. How you been? I haven't seen you in so long. How long have you been gone now?
2 years from Central Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years, 2 whole years. And I kind of don't miss you. I love Houston. And I heard what you said about you don't know where I'm at right now. I'm in Houston. I'm still in Houston. Still, you know, I might move around somewhere else, but I am still in Houston. So what you want me to tell the people?
No, well, you have to talk about when you were here, because you're going to be very, very surprised. You don't know it, but I've been pulling some stuff from the archives from Orange TV, and I've been on occasion showing some of my old summits, and I saw a couple of them that I'm going to show in a couple of months, and you're going to be like, I forgot about that. So I'm telling you, because there's one, actually there's two that I got to show. There's a part 1 and there's a part 2. So I'm going to have to show it, but it's going to have to be when, well, actually, you know what? I'll just go ahead and give it away. It's the Rock the Vote. It's the Rock the Vote. Remember that?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, and I think the Washington Post, that's when the Washington Post came and did a story on me.
Right. Yeah. Actually, won't you come a little closer to your computer?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one. The Washington Post came and did a story on me.
Okay.
Was that the one at the Urban League, I believe?
Yes. The Urban League,
Okay.
and there was a gentleman from Tallahassee. There was from people from UCF. You know, all of that. Remember that?
That's when I started my political career, I should say, because it was the National Movement Association. And we were getting people out to vote. You know, Break of Dawn was living at the time with 102 Jams. And I just got thrown into the whole campaign. And we came out with Rock the Vote, and Russell Simmons had a representative that also came out, and we actually worked with him. Wow, you have that clip.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are you having a?
No, actually, you know what? You're kind of cutting out. So I'm trying to figure out like what's going on, because earlier, you know, your audio was coming in really clear. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was just saying that's how I got into the whole political scene, and I try to get out of it, but I always end back up in it. I feel like The Godfather. You know, when what's his name? What's his name? Always said every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm always right. Like you're part of the mafia or something, right?
Yeah, and that's how I feel. Well, you know, that's what government is. Anyway, we won't talk about that. It is the mafia. But yeah, I'm always pulled back in. So, and let me tell everyone who I am. Yes, I lived in Central Florida for 18 whole years. Yes, I made it for 18 years. And I actually did a lot of things in Central Florida for radio with Charles and other radio stations. I worked with like a lot of promoters. Do you know that I put on for 2 years the was it the Edenville Parade for the Martin Luther King Parade? So I used to work right beside the mayor's assistant, actually put on the Edenville Parade.
Mm-hmm.
So and the famous car show, the car show for what do you have the classic weekend?
All right.
You know, the classic weekend, yeah. So Central Florida has this classic weekend with what's this called? BB the few colleges. Do you still have that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I actually used to do the whole weekend with a famous promoter that was really big there. Several promoters, and I used to just set up all the entertainment, and we had a big car show on Sunday. And I've worked with a lot of representatives. I know I'm so proud of Victoria Siplin. And I worked with her husband Gary when he was senator. So it's like I'm a legend in Central Florida. And all over.
Okay. Well, let me let's start by the emails and your meetings with Ted Cruz, and when you called and you was really I should say animated, and for a reason. So tell us why and what's going on with Uber. So once you explain the whole Uber thing.
Okay. So it's not just Uber. It has to do with the ride sharing company, and it does have to do with Uber and Lyft.
Okay.
And they do have rules with Uber and Lyft. One of the rules are you're not supposed to pick up children at the age of 18 for Uber, under 18, and the age of 17 for Lyft. So I've been, moonlighting with Uber and Lyft. I came to Houston and try to get out of all the stuff that I was doing and just, take that sabbatical. But I noticed that I was picking up a lot of children, and I've been doing it for a year and a half. And as I was doing it, I would pick up the children from school. I would pick up the children at the mall. I would pick them up. And I found out last month we have a forum on Facebook, and they said, well, we're not supposed to pick up children. So I told them, I said, when did this happen? Because I've been picking up children for a year and a half. And I've picked up I have picked up over 4,670 people, and most of them were children. So they said, oh, it's against the rules. So I started investigating and everything, and I thought it was basically a actual, a state, city rule. But I found out that they have it in their terms and agreement. So I said to them, why didn't we know this before? And like always, if you want to hide something from us African-American people, what do? Or from anybody these days, because we're, when it comes down to, we have so much information that we're overloaded. So I said, well, I didn't know it was in the terms and agreement. And I did say that I was wrong because I didn't see it in the terms and agreement. Well, when I found out and they said it was wrong, lo and behold, again, I'm picking up more children. So I'm telling the children, I'm not supposed to be picking you up. And they're like, no, ma'am, I don't. And I said, well, and I will ask them, how old are you? And they will say 17. I picked one up the other day that was 14. And I'm going to tell you why I kind of still pick them up, because there is no solution out there for them. So I'm not going to jump ahead. So basically, I started telling them and stuff. And I did. This 17-year-old, I was just fed up. I said, that's it. I'm done. This is a problem. And obviously, no one's sharing it with the parents. Now, the parents, it's also in their terms and agreement, and they're not reading it. And I also found out that children are downloading the app, and as long as you have a credit card, you can get a ride sharing.
Okay, hold on, Bridget.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to share with you. Now, I know absolutely nothing about the Uber and all of that and how it works. So I want you to break it down and explain what it is and how it works, because all I know is that Uber is for when you need a ride. After that, I have no idea how it works. So explain to us how it works.
Okay. So now you see me looking down because I have my phone in my hand. And I'm going to show you my Uber app. Okay, so I'm going to show you the Riders app. Now, Uber is a service that Uber and Lyft is a service that actually put the cab companies, so it's coming up. So this is Uber, and you see let me go on this way. You see them in a car. So we are regular, everyday people that can download this app as a consumer and as a driver. So as the consumer, you're downloading the app, your credit card is on file, and you order a ride. So you just press the button. And okay, so I'm not going to order my ride because y'all going to have me charged. But it says get started. And this is the phone I use to actually work because my other phone actually has the account in it. So you get started, you put all your information in there, and you put your credit card information in there. Now, as long as you have a credit card, you can get the app and start using it. So you do have a preference of when you do press your button and everything, you're going to have, do you want to Uber X, Uber XL? Do you want to Uber? You have people even drive Mercedes. If you're in Dubai, they have BMWs. Uber, it's nothing but BMW and luxury cars. And you do have the luxury cars here, but it's a little bit more. I know Texas for Uber X is 86 cents a gallon. Well, 86 cents a mile. So it's less than a cab, where you can pay from the airport in Orlando, which I found out Uber can't go to the airport in Orlando. They can drop you off, but they can't pick you up. And it's not like that here. But if you go to the airport from Winter Garden to Orlando's airport, you might pay $25 to $30 from what I heard, where the cab is like $50 something or $80. And then they're looking for a tip behind it. So when they came up with the idea for Uber and Lyft, and I don't know how true it is in Africa, they said that the guy went to Africa and he got the idea by watching people catching rides. So that's why they call it ride sharing. In Africa, they would say, oh, well, I'm going somewhere. Charles, oh, you're going somewhere, or your neighbor's going somewhere, and they will catch a ride. So he got the idea to make money behind it. I don't know how true this story is, but that's what someone told me. So that's how it works. Lyft is the company, is another. Oh, and also let me say, Dubai also have Uber helicopters. So you can actually catch a ride on a helicopter with Uber. So you get it? You understand how it works now? Okay, good. So, okay. Do I have to keep on explaining?
No, well, okay. For those out there that like for an example, like you just explained it to me with the app and all of that, because I never knew how it worked. I just know that it's extremely popular now. And then when you said something in reference to, the kids and how they use it, and sometimes they turn the app off. So when you said that, I really didn't know what that meant or what it means, how you get around certain things. But I don't want to get ahead of what you're trying to explain. So I just wanted people so I can even better understand. That's why I wanted you to explain it.
Great. Okay. So it's a wonderful idea. And now on the driver's side, you don't have the regular cab driver that has signed up to make a living and drive cab, because they have to have certain requirements when it comes down to cab drivers. Now, here in Houston, we had to have those background checks, the FBI background check, and all the other stuff because the cab companies started complaining. But you could be Joe Schmo and say, okay, I want to make some extra money after work. So now you have the ability, and I'm looking for now the app for the drivers. I showed you Lyft. That was the consumer one, but I'm going to show you the Uber driver one. So this is our app for us to pick you up. So now I am a regular housewife, soccer mom, whatever, school teacher. Well, the way the background is now, it used to be a felon, so that's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to go there. But I can download the app and say, I'm going to the store. I feel like making some money. So I turn on my app now and I pick up the person. So you're really getting in a person's private car instead of a commercial car. Now, you are covered and the driver is covered if something would have happened in that car. Now, for me, I like people sitting in the back. I don't like them sitting in the front unless I have a large group. But you do have UberX, where UberX also pick up over 5 people. Now you're going to the airport. You have SUVs that can pick up a whole party, like a 8-passenger party, or so it's like I said, it's a great idea, but it's just regular people like us making money. And you make very good money. I would say my last week's pay, when I'm trying to see if it's still in there. I work maybe sometimes 3 days out the week, and I know the times to work now because I used to work a lot and when I first started and put a lot of miles on it, but okay, so this is our, I'm offline, but this is our cash out. So we could either see, and there's nothing on there right now because I cashed out last night, but we can either cash out every day, every hour, or we can cash out every week. We have direct deposit. So every Wednesday, but you are a 1099 worker and you do have to file your own taxes. So this week, I think I clocked out $497 because yesterday I made over $250 in one day. And I mean, that's driving and you have to know when the surge come in for you. So for you people that want to actually have a sidekick, a side job, I have my business still, but I don't know anyone here in Houston. And my friends are Uber people because I drop them off and my friends are like for an hour, 35 minutes. This is how many, so you have a rates. And this is this is my rating. So they rate you as a driver and they also rate the customer. So, and I have had over I don't know if I see it in here because I really don't look at it. People are really crazy about their rates and stuff. I really don't care. You could ride with me or not. I don't care. I don't care about stars and all that, but we do get stars. The flip side on it, you might, if you really work at night and you do the clubs, you'll have that person that might throw up in your car, and you just have to deal with a lot of that. And it is a lot of wear and tear in your car. Now the throw up part, I kind of like it and I kind of don't like it because the bad thing about it, I got to get my car clean, and that shuts you down for the night. The good thing about it, you get $150, so you can throw up if you want to, because I want to get $150 for your throw up, because Uber is automatically going to get a cleanup fee. And I don't know about Lyft. I've never had anyone throw up in my car with Lyft because you can work both of them. But I think Lyft is $250. And the other day I'm like, oh, it would have been so sweet if that person that threw up in my car for New Year's, I could have got $250. I would have went home very happy, but I was happy. I got $150. So
that is funny. That is funny because it's like you sitting there and then you see the person be like, "Oh, this look like a throw up. Come on in, come on in."
That's funny because I've worked for Uber so long. I know I call them this code name throw uppers. I know the throw uppers. When I see
Well,
them
yeah,
coming,
that's what I'm saying. That's basically what I'm saying. It's just like you go and you pick somebody up, you be like, that look, oh yeah, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Yeah.
yeah, because you're gonna get paid. And you know what? I have this little trick. I have this garbage can, and I put a little garbage pail, and I put the plastic inside of it, and a plastic bag. And if they look like a throw upper, I'm like, here you go. But sometimes the throw uppers miss it, and that's what happened to me New Year's Eve, where I gave them the garbage can. She was doing a great job all the way to the house. When she put it down, she threw up all in my car. But I was done for the night, and I got me an extra $150. And the guy was like, you know what? Whatever you have to charge us, just charge us. And that's the kind of good part about it.
Now, how are the tips?
Now the tips, I think I fought the tips when I first came onto Uber, and I started in 2016 and March, and at first we couldn't get tips. We weren't allowed to have tips, but we actually complained about it, and they heard our voice. Lyft did have tips. So, and you can place it on the app. So if you actually have your app and everything for the consumer, the rider, you can put the tip on the app. It gives you an option, Uber and Lyft now, or give cash. And I like the cash, some drivers, and remember I said that, I like the cash because, it's like, okay, I get my money right there. But then you look at it, you also get your money. As long as you made over $10, you can actually put your money directly in your bank account, and you just put your card on it. Now, let me take that back. I do like my cash because Uber, and what I haven't said, Uber takes out 28% of the fare. So let's say I have I'll tell you, I had a 64-mile trip yesterday. I ended up in Galveston to drop somebody off to the boat. And that was about after, and if they have surges, they get 28%, but the surge can be from 2.0 to 1 point something. And that means that your fare goes up, and they don't have a cap on it. So a lot of times you really want to watch that, where we're cheaper than the cab. If I'm going to pick you up late at night at the club, and Uber know and Lyft know that it's very hard to pick up people at the club because, like I said, you're going to have those throw-uppers. So when they beg you, it's like they're really begging you to work because people don't want throw up in their car. So at nighttime, we might see a surge from 3.0. So where a regular ride so a 5-mile ride, my 86 cents a mile, you might be paying $5 a mile. So from that's why I made so much yesterday, because I know Lyft had 130% from the fare, and Uber had like 1.4. So the 28% comes out of that. The 28% comes out of the tips. So where you rather the cash, where you're going to get all your money, that's a good thing. Now you do have also private people. People will say, and I had it for the Final Four. I had this guy, these guys paid me $200 to pick them up because like the rodeo's coming up right now, and they will say to you, well, how much you'll charge me to pick me up or be my private driver? And we do that. Sometimes we do private driving where we're not on the app. And so it's really up to you to make that decision. And I don't know, see, I'm a city girl, and Charles know me, I was strapped, okay? Because I had one guy from Chicago, and he tried me and propositioned me, and I was like, you just tried the wrong system, okay? So if you do turn off your app, you're on your own. And even if you do turn off your app, they're going to trace you anyway, because if your app is on there, and I turn it off like I'm offline now, technically you're truly not offline. Unless you actually log out of this app, they're tracing where you're going. But what you do when you're offline is your business. It's when you're online. Now, many of us have credit card machines. I have Square, I have PayPal. So we can take a credit card on our own. You don't know if your app might mess up and stuff, but it's a pretty beautiful thing. But it was now the child thing that really bothered me. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so now everything that you just said, and you explained it all, and you explained it very well, and I understand it very well now. So with all of that, and you've been working really hard to do what when it comes to the kids, and give us, and do you know of any Uber or Lyft drivers that has, I mean, that have done anything, like picking up kids and now they're, in jail, or somebody has ended up dead, or they have raped some child or anything like that?
Yeah, there has been actually situations that's happened, not in Houston, but I know if you Google it, I know someone in Florida. I don't know if it's Central or Fort Lauderdale, but I know that.
Always Florida, always Florida.
Always. You know what? See, y'all are not convincing me to come back. Okay, so we're just going to say that. But it's a 16-year-old boy that was raped by I believe it was a Lyft driver. And, it's both ride-sharing companies. And he picked them up and turned around and raped the young man that was 16. And now he's in jail. I think he's in prison now. There have been 38 counts. This guy was an ex-Uber driver, and I think he had 38 counts of rape for women. But there's other children, there's a child that has been abducted by an Uber driver. So it's a whole lot of stuff that's really going on when it comes down with the children. My concern was, no, it hasn't happened in Houston as yet, as the mayor and the city council asked me, why am I so passionate about this? Because it did something happen to me. I said, no, it's called proactive, preventing these things from happening.
But I mean, I know I don't have to have this conversation with you, but why is it that why is it that something drastic has to happen like this when we know that there are pedophiles out there, and we know that people that do this, and it's really a setup for it to happen? So it has to happen in order for them to do something.
Yes, and you're so right. And that was my argument, that why does it have to happen? But to answer your question, why they felt something have to happen, because again, it has to do with politics. It's the politics, card game, the chess game. Well, what happened when we first became Uber drivers? We had to have fingerprints. Now, I said it earlier. The cab driver said, well, these people are driving cars and taking our cabs, taking our rides, and because it's cheaper. So they wanted the city to be much more stricter on us. So for me, I had to do from fingerprints to background check to FBI background check. I had to do a physical. I literally had to do from eye exam to, I thought they were going to throw me on a treadmill and see how fast I could run. I thought I was really joining boot camp, but I was cool with it. I was like, okay, if I have to do that, fine. At the time, Uber needed drivers so bad, they offered us $125 to do the actual background check, this extensive background check. And we have to have a fire extinguisher in our car. I don't know if Houston was used to cars blowing up, but I'm like, okay, I'll get my fire extinguisher. So that was the requirements. I really had to wait about maybe a month till everything came in. I drove 30 miles to do this. Now, as Charles say, pedophiles and stuff, the requirements to drive in Lyft or Uber is to download the app, put your driver's license in. And I had a friend say she was driving in an hour in Central Florida. Hey, Central Florida. She was driving in an hour. And I said, what? You're driving what? I said, girl, I had to get on treadmills and all that. So, I'm exaggerating. So I said, but wait. So what are they checking? So they'll say they're checking your background, but what we figured out, they're just checking to see if your driver's license is cool and you have insurance, because you do have to have your personal insurance. But when I am on the app, I'm covered by $1 million insurance and a whole lot of different beautiful perks. Well, when I found out that they weren't background checking like that anymore, and plus your car have to have a sticker. I have a special license. Back then, you have to have a TNC license. That's a taxi cab limo license. I had to have, and you have my picture. You have me in the database of Houston, Texas. So if a cop gets behind me and run my tag, they'll say, oh, that's an Uber driver. But now, download the app and start driving. Well, I was concerned about that because anybody can download an app and start driving. So for me, that's giving a license to a pedophile. Now, they do say that they're doing a background check, but it's not the extensive background check, fingerprints and all that stuff. Now, I have a lot of drivers say I'm hating. I'm not hating. I'm looking at the children because I am going to, and Charles, you already know I'm very transparent. I'm going to tell you what I did and why I got double mad. Because I sent my grandkids a phone with Uber and Lyft on it. And I put my credit card on there and I said, well, if you can't get to school, something happened, take it. Well, one, I find out they're not really background checking these people. And two, they have to be over 17 and 18. And to answer your question, yes, drivers are still picking up these children. Sunday, I picked up a kid and he came out the house, and it depends what time it is. I make the decision because I've picked up teenagers at 12, 1 o'clock at night. I've heard Uber drivers has picked up, or Lyft drivers picked up kids 13 and taken them to the park 30 miles away and drop them off. And the parents don't know where they're at. So it's the parent fault. I don't blame Uber. They cover themselves because it's in their terms and agreement. But Sunday, I did pick up this child, and I said to him, because, you have to look at them. They're so tall these days. I could go to the school and they might think I'm a teenager. And I said to him, are you over 18? He said, no. I said, okay. I said, I can't take you anywhere. Well, it's my dad's account. I said, I know it's your dad's account, but there is no consent on here that I can take you somewhere. And I will explain what I'm doing with federal government, not just the state of Texas. I want to push something to the federal government. So he said, well, I was never told that before. I always ride. I had one Oriental girl at 9 o'clock. She said, when did this happen? 17. I said, it's been on there, but it was our fault not to actually see that it was on there. Well, I've been riding Uber in California since I was 8 years old. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I have my own app. And I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. I'm like, okay, this is a problem. Well, the kid on Sunday said the same thing too. And I said, well, tell your parents that we're not supposed to be driving you. And that kind of gives the responsibility back to the parent to drive their kids around. But I understand the parent part because I was a parent. So he got out, and most likely they got another Uber and got a driver that was going to take him. But since I am pushing this, and it was the morning time, I enforce the law. So that's it. You want one? Go ahead.
Let me ask you, what is the goal and what was the meeting about with Cruz?
Okay, so I met with his staff, Senator Ted Cruz, and I'm not a Republican, and this is one of the reasons why I did come to Texas, because I was running a Republican campaign, but they moved right away. And I loved that they heard my voice, in which I put a petition out there. Channel 2 News here in Houston did do a special, and I did call other news stations. But they said, Ms. Norvell, we want to see you. When I called them and I told them that the city, the mayor, okay, so let me jump back a little. Because Uber had a hard time getting drivers with $125 and they were paying out. I'm just going to use this as maybe. This is how I look at it. Now, Lyft, Uber, they were in Austin and all over Texas and other states. From what I understand, they now bypass the cities. That made it very hard for us to drive to go to the capitals, like you have Tallahassee, and lobbied and paint some palms red, green, and they got to bypass this law. So now it's not your city that makes the decision, it's your state. So now that the state makes the decision, the city, I looked at them like little babies, like, wait, we can't do nothing about it. So I'm saying, for my thing was, let's educate. Let's let them know. Because I have called Uber and, put the feedback in. I have called Lyft and put the feedback in and even gave them the idea I gave to Senator Ted Cruz's office. And the idea was, let's place it on the app. Let's get consent forms. And there are other ride sharing companies for children. And the thing that Lyft told me, and Uber too, the insurance is too high. That's why the children can't ride. Now, a child can ride in a cab at 14 years old, but because Uber and Lyft doesn't want to pay the insurance, that's why they can't ride, because they're covering themselves. And technically, if I had a car accident or a driver have a car accident, a police officer picks up or stop, and that child ran away, and now you're stopped, or they're high or drunk, and you're stopped. Guess who goes to jail? We do.
Now,
guess who? Mm-hmm.
Now, things are going to change once something crazy happens. Something dramatic, somebody going to have to get killed, raped, all this other stuff. Then that's when they're going to, make changes or bring light to it. Because right now, you're just kind of like a voice just in the wind, because it's all about the money. Mm-hmm. And you and I both know that at some point, somebody gonna do something crazy and stupid, and not, let alone, heavens forbid, that there's an accident, so.
Because EMT can't even pick up your child, and they can't make, okay, so they're in the car and they're in an Uber car. So you are like, okay, take my child, and no, they can't do anything. They have to leave your child there, because they're not allowed in the law for the city. I don't know if it's individual city laws or state law, but for them, an EMT worker told me, we can't touch them because you're not the parent. So yes, something is going to happen. And Charles, it's funny you said that, because the killing in Florida, 17 children. Well, he took an Uber car, but he was 19. But for me, I want someone to interview the Uber driver, because who did not see? I'm an Uber driver and I'm very alert. I want to know, did you not see a rifle? I mean, come on. This is the easiest selling gun. And I'm not trying to get off the subject, but the easiest selling gun, because it's not something that you can conceal. You get in my car and I did not see that rifle. Yeah, we need someone, Anderson Cooper, Charles Morris. Someone needs to go ahead and call that Uber driver.
But see, but Bridget, honestly, in reality, if he wanted to get there, it had nothing to do with the Uber driver or anything like that. Even though that's very true in what you say, because if he wanted to get there, he could have got on his bike or, whatever, if he wanted to get there, he was going to get there. But that is very true that, let's just say I'm dropping this guy off, and I'm dropping him off at a school, and I see him getting out with a rifle. Something. Yeah, I mean, and I don't necessarily think in the sense of an Uber driver. That would be a taxi driver, anybody that you see, that you just drop somebody off, somebody that hitchhike. Hey man, can I catch a ride over here? Yeah. And he has a rifle, he get out, and then you drop him off at a school. Really?
So my thing is, okay, so yeah, he was over 19 and all that, but like Charles said, we're saying something might just happen worse than that. And your child is in the car. I had one person say that, oh, well, I have a friend that's a police officer. She sent her children all the time with Uber drivers. And I'm like, okay, well, what if something happens? So my thing to go to now the state and say, we have a problem. And I am waiting for a actual meeting with the lieutenant governor. But Senator Ted Cruz's office, I'm putting together my first bill, and I actually wrote, you know what, Charles? Someone taught me into running. So I don't know if I'm coming back to Central Florida to run or Houston really needs me, but I don't know. But we'll see. That's down the line. But I am putting together my first bill. What were you going to say, Charles? Because I heard you.
Oh, nothing. I was just giving you like the thumbs up on the bill. That's all.
Yeah. And we don't know. This is, and I'm glad that they did turn me down the way they did, because even with all the stuff from gun control and all that happening, the power is in the bill. The power is us writing to the lobbyists and getting our voices heard. And writing a bill is so easy. It's just your complaint and your cause. And my cause is, let's educate. Let's, put a campaign out there. Let people know, because the parents are still doing it. They're not going to read the terms and agreement. And I'm like, it made me read, but they're not going to read it. So Uber, part of the bill is Uber and Lyft. I am actually challenging them to put it in front of the app. When you download that app, now they see that the children cannot ride. And until we start a ride sharing program, which is in the make for children, because you have GoGo Grandparent, I think it's in Minnesota, you have Kango for Illinois, and Hop, Skip, and Ride for California. But you already know that our children is not going to do these. So I'm giving Uber the opportunity and Lyft to jump on and say, because there is a profit in it. Hop, Skip, and Ride, I read about them. They said in 2016, they did like a Uber ride sharing for children. In 6 months or 3 months, they had 50% more drivers because their demand came up that high. Now think about it. And this is what I was trying to explain to the city. This is really a market. This is an awesome market, because even in Central Florida, I had lawyers and doctors, and I used to call it kitty cat. And I picked up their child to take them to school and to drop them off. And I made $100 a week per child. So can you think about that parent saying, well, I don't mind paying $2, $3 extra and this will cover the insurance for Uber and Lyft to take the child, and we will, solve this problem. But I also want stricter background checks, because if I am going to take a child, we can't just download an app and pick up a child. And someone told me recently, they know a felon driving Uber right now in Florida. I won't say where, but it might be where you're sitting at now. I didn't say the place. Mm-hmm. So,
you heard it on the Journey 2020, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So felons are driving now. So I would like to see the federal government, because I'm not just fighting for Houston and Texas and Florida, everywhere. The only place I know that they are still doing the strict background checks is in Boston, Massachusetts. Why is that, Charles? What famous college where all the lawyers come out of? You know, right?
Yeah.
Harvard, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, they ain't playing that. I ain't playing that because all the lawyers come out of there. So they're actually, following the rules, and Uber, ain't nobody can pay them to change that rule. So my thing is, okay, cities, states, it's profit over people, but it's the people that bring the profit. And if you do this actual program, guess what? There go your profit. But what I heard from Uber when I did complain that day about the 17-year-old girl, they said, oh, just report it to us and we'll turn off the apps. I said, sir, because I was talking to a man, and I said, that you're not solving the problem. I said, they're going to use their parent app. The parent is going to call. Well, we're going to turn off the parents app. And that's how I started, getting on this campaign, because I'm saying you're creating a problem, not trying to find a solution. So that's what the bill is about. The bill is stricter background checks. It gives the opportunity for government, for people, because I know Uber had a hard time to find drivers. So my thing is, let's go to bus drivers that have to drive in the summer, doesn't have to drive in the summer, and looking for something to do. That would be an incentive for them that they could still do regular Uber. You have Uber Eats that deliver food. So let's have Uber Kids. Let's have Lyft Kids. And then you have the people that has the limo, taxi cab, because they still have to follow regulations. So let's go ahead and get them, because they're driving anyway. Cab drivers are now driving Ubers. So let's get them to sign up for the program where they have an option to opt in. And when a child request comes in, you now know where that, who's driving your child, because we're child friendly. I'm even going a step further, Charles. I heard so many things about children running away and Ubering. Now, when I was growing up, I won't say my age, and I'm not afraid of my age, I'm 50, but I could have run away in an Uber. And how do that Uber driver know that kid is running away? So in the bill, I have also put in Amber Alert. Let's partner with Amber and the children that are out late at night. Charles, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your child is?
And now that you say that, it seems like when the Amber goes out, it should automatically go to an Uber app anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I have put in the federal bill. I want to see us get Amber Alerts, and not just for children that has been picked up, kidnapped, but your parents. My child just snuck out the window at 10 o'clock, and I saw a car pull up and get in. They got in the car. Well, it might be an Uber car. Well, guess what? You have to, one, write a consent for us to drive your child anywhere. This is what I'm requesting. And we will have the information on the account. And I also want the account flagged, because children are downloading it. But whose credit card are they getting? If they're not working, they're getting mom and dad credit cards. So it will be flagged. You could go ahead and sign up with the banks, because if a child is 16 and doing summer school, summer, they actually have, school, they're working for summer, or they're 16 and working, after school part-time, and they now have their ATM card and stuff. We know what age they are. So these are the things that I have placed in the bill. There's a lot more, that I have in there from details. And I love Senator Cruz's office, because they're willing to help me write the bill. And I went to the University of Houston, to the political faculty, and asking them to help me place some things in the bill, and now we have to get it to Congress. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, now before we end the show, tell us what we can do to further assist you, because we're also helping ourselves and helping our children, keeping them safe. So tell us what we can do, in addition to what you're doing.
Okay, so what you can do for me is go on moveon.org, and you can actually find the petition. And MoveOn said, I think I need just only 50. I think I'm up to 30 something now. But sign the petition. Sign the petition on moveon.org. And the petition actually says, and Charles, if you can put the petition link on there, because I don't have it up right now. And if you're friends with me on Facebook or Get the 411, the petition is on there, but it's on moveon.org. And it says, help us, keep our children safe from ride sharing, and sign that petition. Another thing you can do for me, can y'all please read the app, read any app that you download. I was going to take cycling the other day, and, some terms and agreements are good, some are not. I saw death in cycling, talk about if you die, I'm like, that's okay. I'm not going to go cycle. So read the app and be that parent that know what your child is doing. Check their phones. Check if they have an app on there. I found out the other day, Charles, that my 10-year-old granddaughter has a Snap app. And when she friended me,
what?
Oh, see, Charles, you need to get up with the program. Snap. You don't know what Snap is?
Oh, no. You know what I thought you said? I thought you said a slap app.
Don't give nobody any ideas, because next minute, obviously, it's slap apps. Okay, a Snap app. That's a Jamaican in me. Okay?
No, I know what that is, but I thought you said slap. I was like, a 10-year-old with a slap.
Watch, next week, you better patent that and find out if you could do a slap app. But, okay, my grandchild have a Snap app, and she asked me to be a friend. And I'm like, why are you going to ask me to be a friend? And I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to call, I ain't even try to be her friend. I call her mama. Why do my grandchild have a Snap app? But my thing is, they're not checking how old they are. Like, remember you said, it's about money. So as long as everyone has a credit card and you could place it on the card. Matter of fact, Lyft, I found out that you can have one of those prepaid cards where it's a little bit harder. For Uber, you actually have to have a bank card. Lyft, you just need to have a prepaid card. So if your child go purchase a Visa prepaid card, guess what? You better check your children's phones, sign the petition, and until this bill is passed, watch. We pick up at schools. How many predators can come to a school and pick up your child? And I'm not saying that every Uber driver is, but I'm saying that until they do stricter background check, we don't know who's picking up your children. The mall.
Well,
also at the mall.
Well, again, through all of that and your passion, and whether it's the data, you can have the numbers, all the obstacles and all the things that are taking place, because as you know, it's money driven, money driven. Something going to have to happen, unfortunately, because as much as you're writing the bill, you're on the journey 2020, you send out the petition, you talking here, you going there, and it's gonna take something crazy where some life is going to have to be lost and all this other craziness, and because it's money driven. And unfortunately, welcome to the United States of America.
Okay, so the petition, and I just pulled it up, but the petition is educational awareness and federal ride sharing laws for minors. That's another thing you said, Charles. There is no federal ride sharing laws. So yes, if something happened and Uber covered theirself. Parents, you can't say my child just got raped by an Uber driver or this happened or that happened, because guess what? They're covered. So now we have to go to the government, and you can help me. Call your senator, call your governor, call Rick Scott, call them and tell them, oh, you know what I found out? And push it. This way, this bill can be passed. You know, Charles, I should set up a hotline, and I'm going to see how we can get a hotline to the state senates. Call them and bombard them till they change it. I'm not penalizing Uber and Lyft because so if you want to help, sign a petition and let's start making some phone calls. I don't really have to make an 800 number. Google. And you know what? Let me say this. I had a young lady get in my car yesterday, and she had 2 little children. And I said to her, because I just saw this on the app, and I've been driving all this time, and I really don't pick up children or babies, you know, women with babies. And I said, on the app, it says I was canceling for the young man, but I saw car seats. And I said, wow, we supposed to have a car seat? So, you know, you learn something new every day. And I told her, I said, well, I can't take you because you don't have a car seat. And they were 3 and 4. She said, I never knew that. Now, there are some drivers like me will say no. And I said, how far do you live? And she's like, well, a couple miles. I said, okay, I'll take you down there. But that's another thing, that it is dangerous. You know, we are supposed to have a car seat. I think they are pushing cab drivers into. She said, well, what about the bus? You know, they don't have car seats. I said, honey, how many times have a bus flip over? How many accidents have you seen with a bus? You know, you already know that they were going to rebuttal me. But car seats, that's another thing, you know, because God forbid something happened in someone's car. Yes, we're covered. I don't know. Read your app. Are you covered if we have an accident? I think you are covered if we have an accident. But there are some drivers driving on ball tires. If you see the new Uber car, the cars that pulls up now, mine was I had 2 cars, and it's now a 2017 Rogue. Oh, and let me say this. I had a 2015 Mitsubishi, and I rented out to Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. The company I rent to, they actually take applications for Uber and Lyft drivers. Now get this. After I did this whole investigation, and Charles, you are right, I am going to go, we're doing the numbers, we're doing the statistics and the research and stuff. But I used to rent to people, parents, that came from other states that couldn't drive in their state. So they would rent my car that is registered with Lyft and Uber, come from another state to drive. Now, it's under my name. They have an account with Lyft and Uber. But my thing is, what if they did something in that state and they drove? I had one came from Minnesota and came all the way to Texas to drive. Maybe if he couldn't drive in Minnesota anymore. And it wasn't registered. We don't know what happened. So that's another thing I'm requesting. I want a federal database. I want to see if you did come into this town, that they do it with your medical records already. They do it for other things. Let's do it for that. Because where you're covering this state, but I might have a rape charge, and I might not have been put in prison yet, but I've just been filed for rape. And now I want to go leave and come in and go drive somewhere else. So you see how dangerous it is?
Right,
That's it,
right,
Charles.
right. Well, I'm going to put up the information when I repost it. So you're going to send that to me. And so I'm going to ask you to come back in a few weeks and give us an update. You know, because you're working
Oh,
hard,
I
and
will.
yeah, because you're working hard. So I want you to come back in a few weeks and you can give us an update, and hopefully it won't be a tragic story. It'll be a positive story. You know.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I am going to give you a positive in this whole thing. I did call them yesterday. I called Uber yesterday for something because they're going to expect a phone call from me for something. So, and I was complaining about going five miles and taking someone 1 mile. So that's a whole different thing. And did I freeze up? Okay, so I came back. I did find out they are updating the app. Let's hope that this new app update is actually, they heard my voice, because I have sent it to the president, and not the president of Uber, the president of Lyft. But let's hope their actual improvement of our driver's app, not the consumer app, but the driver's app, we have that part that says you cannot pick up children. So so let's see what happens. We hope that nothing happens. And you know what, Charles, Murphy's Law. But this is the world we live in.
Okay, well, we're going to look forward to that update. So, all right. Thank you for coming on the show, and blessings to you in the Star State, Lone Star State. You keep doing what you're doing. Okay.
Thank you. I'm not done. I have a lot more to do.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
Trust me.
I know. All right, that's Ms. Norvell. See, she left the state of Florida. Is that a good thing? Of course not. She need to come on back and do some of the stuff that we were doing earlier. She's really going to freak out when she see a couple of these summits that she was on that she probably really don't remember, because that was a long time ago, back when I even had some dreads and stuff like that. So, but anyway, you've been watching The Journey 2020 here at www.thejourney2020.com. We want to thank Ms. Norvell so much for coming on the show, giving us her time, and for her hard and dedicated work that she's doing for something that is very, very, very important. So we're going to ask her to come back later on in a few weeks to give us an update. And hopefully you will sign that petition as well. I'm Charles Morris, and I want to say enjoy the rest of your week.